Here with me, two independent journalists who braved the deranged crowds, Nick Shirley in New York City and Anthony Cabasa in L.A. Nick, let's start with you. So the women, I was fascinated. I was following you when you were at the protest. So the women and a couple guys who were with those neon yellow signs, they show up to, quote, marshal you, correct? Yes. I thought it was hysterically funny, but tell us what that is.
They showed up to essentially try to push me out of the protest. They had a sign that said, right-wing troll, when in reality I was just there speaking with the people, and then they start causing all this chaos by bringing all this attention to me that I wasn't even there for, and it just caused everything to get out of hand. And as you saw, I figured I might as well take them for a run if they're going to be following me for a while.
I like the reference to her Gucci glasses. That cracked me up. All right, Anthony, there was a story circulating yesterday that the LAPD ran over a protest there who I guess it blocked a cop car, but your angle of the video showed the truth, and you put it out there. Let's watch. So the big hullabaloo online was that this was just cops willy-nilly running people over for the fun of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we saw on Saturday at the No Kings. Shortly after the, I would say, mostly peaceful protest, it turned violent like it typically happens in Los Angeles. And so this specific gentleman, he is a known provocateur. He's even gone up to Portland. And from what Andy No has reported, it looks like he is the same gentleman that got arrested up there. And now he's back to L.A. To continue protesting police down here in the ICE facility. I noticed that on Saturday and Sunday it was trending that LAPD had plowed through the crowd. And I said, well, wait a minute, I was there. What really happened? So I went back to my footage and I caught this point of view that clearly shows he was not ran over. And so it quickly debunked that story.
No, he was not run over. He was kind of like throwing himself in the front of the car. You know, we have this issue in the D.C. area where, you know, we have people who get bumped on purpose, jam on their brakes so they can then file a lawsuit. It's kind of like that deal. Nick, you might have ruined a relationship, I think, this weekend in some of your videos. This was very sad. Watch.
Do you support the deportation of illegal immigrants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay. She's saying she doesn't.
If they're illegal, then yeah.
Do you not support the deportation of illegal migrants?
Do we know how that date ended, Nick?
I'm pretty sure bro figured out he was a Republican, and now the relationship's probably over.
So, I mean, Anthony, I'm sorry, but I got more laughs out of this video. I mean, there was a lot of disturbing things in these protests, but most of it just seems like the theater of the absurd. It's early Halloween. It's a bad high school theater production. They have wardrobe departments. You know, you're the frog. You're the baby Trump. You're going to have the Trump pinata. But it all seems very repetitive. It's the same people at the protests every single time. Am I reading that wrong, or does this seem very performative to you?
No, I think you're right. I've seen a lot of I've been covering the LA protests, going back all the way to the George Floyd protests and riots that happened out here. And I've been seeing a lot of the same usual suspects. It's usually the Democratic Socialists of America, the Party of Socialism and Liberation. And even this Saturday, I witnessed SEIU, which I believe they're the largest union in the nation, if not the second largest. They had tents out there, and they were recruiting people to the Party of Socialism and Liberation and the Democratic Socialists of America. So I posted that on my socials that they were recruiting the youth. Some of these new people coming out and wanting to, quote unquote, resist fascism, saying that only socialism can defeat fascism. So I'm kind of interested to see what some of the union members of SEIU have to feel about the fact that their union new money is being used to recruit the youth and some of these protesters into socialist parties.
Far left. SEIU is a complete disaster, but they're playing on the affordability issue that Mamdani is glommed onto, and they think that's going to sweep Republicans out of office next year. So cost of living is a real problem for young people. But Nick, I found that when I was watching the videos, and I wasn't there, but you can correct me, it seemed like mostly older people There were some young people, obviously. You interviewed a few of them, but it seemed like a lot of old geezer types who just were wishing they had been alive during Woodstock and missed the Vietnam era, but now this is, their moment in the sun.
Yeah, a lot of these people, there are a lot of old individuals out there, and you see them in the subway going to the protests. They're all amped up to go to these protests, and because they literally think Trump's a king, and they think they're about to save the country. And so you have all these old people just ramped up.
Well, it's the most exercise a lot of them gotten for a while, so I think that's good. Nick, actually, Anthony, I want you to listen to what one woman in Portland said at one of these protests. Watch.
For a birthday present, what do you hope happens? You wake up tomorrow morning.
I hope that I see the obituary that we're all waiting for tomorrow. That's what I hope for.
Yeah. You wishing that President Trump is dead?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Anthony, in a real dictatorship, of course, you couldn't say that on camera, correct? So they don't really think Trump's a dictator. She's not worried about saying that on camera.
Right, yeah, that's why it's so important that independent journalists like Nick and myself are out there getting these sound bites, because when we ask the protesters, why are you really here? What do you really think? They say these things, but it's almost hard to believe they're saying it because we know deep down they don't really believe it. So it's almost like, what are you listening to that you are having to say these things? I mean, and one of the scarier parts is I talked to people. I was live on TikTok interviewing some folks, and I met a lot of educators telling me, yeah, I teach high school, I teach middle school, I teach kindergarten. And I'm like, what? And your organization is okay with this? Your union? Like, oh, yeah, they promoted it. They send us all emails demanding that we be out here, asking us, hey, come join us. And I'm just shocked. And I'm like, man, I don't know if these people know, that they're going to go on air and maybe someone's kids is out there and they're like, hey, that's my teacher.
Yeah.
The No Kings protest, you couldn't really miss them. Thousands turned out to protest President Trump over the weekend. It was large, it was peaceful, but we're not sure exactly what they were there to do in America's streets. What was the message? To ensure that we don't have a king? Well, the very fact that they're out on the streets seems to illustrate the fact that we don't have a king, but that didn't matter over at MSNBC.
There was a feeling of resoluteness and also real joy and real sense of solidarity.
This today is peaceful, nonviolent civil disobedience, a beautiful march through the streets of our city.
It was overwhelmingly peaceful. I think we really pushed back against the smear campaign. I saw courage. I saw joy. I saw, even in the moment of grief, because we see what's happening in D.C., I saw hope.
Overwhelmingly peaceful. Okay, but what is acceptable? To what do you associate? And for the party of tolerance, what do you tolerate? First, Mike Cernovich put it out on X. They get to hold their protest without a care in the world. No snipers on the building shooting at them. No masked thugs attacking them. Every media outlet fawning over them, as you just heard. The irony levels fit for a king. Again, it seems to illustrate that we have no king. Well, that's also due to the fact that Democrats just didn't show up in 2024, not enough of them, because Donald Trump was democratically elected for the second time. And it's a job now, every day, where he works.
I'm not a king. I'm not a king. I work my ass off to make our country great. That's all it is. I'm not a king at all.
Speaking of work and speaking of President Trump, it was 1 year ago today that he was working at the drive-thru in McDonald's.
President Trump! Well, that's a good-looking group. Hello, everybody.
I love McDonald's. I love jobs. I like to see good jobs.
An apron, not a crown. But as I mentioned, while the protests were admittedly overwhelmingly peaceful, it's a question of what you accept, what you associate with, and for the party of tolerance, what do you tolerate? Paul Morrow of Fox News pointed out when he said this is an example of a five-star a-hole, a sign which reads, what heals faster, A, Trump's ear, or B, Erica's heart? One example, one could say, but it's not just one example. There was this grotesque display of a teacher from Chicago, I repeat, a teacher from Chicago, giving a bullet in the neck gesture to a Charlie Kirk fan driving by. They seem to be adding up, these singular examples. There's more. Luigi Mangione supporters showed up. They held signs that read, Free Luigi. No kings, but yes to murder suspects. In Seattle, grown adults dressed up as lice agents and proceeded to roll around on the United States Constitution. But it wasn't just bizarre displays. There were overt, ugly calls to action.
You gotta grab a gun. We gotta turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents gotta get shot and wiped out. The state machinery, that's a full display right there, has to get wiped out.
Wipe out ICE agents. Take up arms. Wipe out ICE. Early reports are that man, too, is an educator. Over in Canada, they wanted to stand in solidarity with the movement, but they couldn't name it No Kings. Why? Because, of course, they have an actual king. So they changed the name to No Tyrants, further confusing exactly what this whole display was all about. One thing they know is they believe that moments like this here at home are tyranny.
If you said bad, then maybe he'll like to apologize. I really don't know. Did an ambassador say something bad about it? Don't tell me. I don't. Where is he? Is he still working for you?
Yeah.
You said bad?
Before I took this position, Mr. President.
I don't like you either. I don't, and I probably never will.
The tyranny of humor. I guess we could find humor as well in Nancy Pelosi triumphantly snapping a crown in half over the No Kings weekend. This is a woman who has made millions in her years of exclusively public service. Maybe that's the crown that's missing from the Louvre. But the crowd, made largely up of what many are saying are gray hairs, boomers, and nothing wrong with that, but it does paint a little bit of a picture of the people that are calling themselves Grand Tifa. And if that's not funny enough, or President Trump isn't funny enough, I'll give you the thing that they always love to do with these protests, and that's dance. That as tempting as it is to laugh at these theater kids, or to even look at these isolated instances of people saying incredibly ugly things from the No Kings protest, we shouldn't laugh it off and we shouldn't hand wave. Because people like Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Chris Murphy are sitting there appearing on stage at No Kings with this guy, Mehdi Hasan.
I am a journalist, I am an immigrant, and I am a Muslim. I am everything Donald Trump loves. I am not willing to sit back and watch our glorious American multiracial, multicultural, democratic experiment, our constitutional republic, destroyed by the guy from Home Alone 2.
That's Mehdi Hasan, inexplicably platformed on multiple occasions here in the United States, an immigrant Muslim who has called white people chattel and cattle and has said incredibly ugly things, an open socialist who wants to overturn America. And there he is on the stage alongside Murphy and Sanders. See, we have to take these people seriously. But here's what I seriously am concerned with. Less the isolated incidences of someone seeming to pantomime a murder. More with the Botoxed smile, the microdermabrasioned face that you might see at a coffee shop or certainly walking around the Hamptons, the designer hat and the designer sweater, the nice old lady that when pushed just a little bit, you find something darker.
Millions of Democrats did not vote. Whose fault is that? We need to get ourselves together and we might even need to be a little bit meaner.
Recently, with Charlie Kirk being assassinated,
He's a piece of garbage. Of course we were mean. I am so tired of people saying, oh, but, you know, it's a terrible thing. No, Hitler is dead. I'm glad Hitler's dead. Evil people have no place in my world.
You see, it's just a nice old white lady's world, her world. We're living in it. I'd like to believe that people that celebrate assassination and murder are just something like 1 out of 100. What I fear is that lady is 30 out of 100 in the modern